Alain. The Kalos League champion and member of the Masters 8 is easily one of Ash Ketchum's most popular rivals. Alain, aka Anakin Skywalker, is an insanely powerful trainer with a very unique and complex storyline in the Pokemon XY anime. This is Complete History, where we tackle the entire story of various trainers and Pokemon throughout their time in the show. In this video, we are breaking down the complete history of Alain, his association with Team Flare, his rivalry with Ash, his presence in the Masters 8, his dominance, as well as his flops, and many more throughout the Pokemon anime. Back in 2014, Pokemon created a special 4-part side story that deeply focuses on the lore of Mega Evolutions. The main protagonist of the side story is Alain, a skilled trainer who seeks to master Mega Evolution by battling and defeating all kinds of Mega Pokemon. In the middle of the woods, Alain battles Astrid and her majestic Mega Absol. The disaster Pokemon puts up a great fight, but it's Alain's Mega Charizard X who comes out victorious after unleashing its powerful Blast Burn. After the battle, Alain notices that someone is watching him, and it's just his girl. She's Marin, a jolly, inquisitive, clumsy, and chatty beginner trainer who just received her starter Pokemon Chespy the Chespin from Professor Sycamore. Marin is amazed with the battle and how Alain's Charizard suddenly turned into a black Charizard. She also randomly mentions the story of Ash Ketchum, who helped calm down Professor Sycamore's Garchomp and save Pikachu during the Prism Tower incident. It is here when Alain recalls his time with Professor Sycamore. Back then, Alain was Professor Sycamore's assistant. When he learned about Mega Evolution, his interest on the topic quickly sparked up, and so Alain decided to search for his own Mega Stone, taking this cute jolly Charmander with him. Which leads us to the present. Alain is instructed to collect this Mega Stone from the ruins as per instructions of a mysterious person. When exiting the ruins, Alain is challenged by this fierce trainer Remo with his partner Garchomp the Mega Garchomp. In a powerful display of flying dragons, Mega Charizard X defeats the pseudo-legendary. Throughout Alain's expeditions, he is always followed by Marin, who seems very intrigued with his journey, and at one point he even assists her in catching this Flabebe. Alain then tries to take it up a notch with his Mega Evolution journey as he challenges Elite Four Seabull to a battle. It is Mega Charizard versus Mega Blastoise, but unlike the Johto League, it is Blastoise who wins this battle after landing a super effective Dragon Pulse. I repeat, Dragon Pulse. Being able to catch Seabull's attention shows that Alain has potential, but he still has a long way to go if he truly wants to become a Mega Evolution Master. Next, Alain encounters Steven Stone, after Marin gets into trouble for the millionth time in the series. Both trainers notice each other's keystones, so like any other reasonable trainer, they engage in a battle. Mega Charizard is able to land a couple of hits on Mega Metagross, but the pseudo-legendary is unfazed, even with sending a Blast Burn like it's nothing. Just as they're about to clash their next attacks, something interrupts them. It's his Pyroar, a Pokemon owned by this man named Lysander. It is revealed that Lysander is working on a project with Alain. They first met when Alain was researching for Mega Stones. Alain battled him for the Ampharos, but lost. However, Lysander did see potential in Alain, so he invited him to do his research on gathering Mega Evolution energy, for peaceful purposes. I wonder what he meant by that. Is he like trying to achieve world peace or something? So, Lysander gave Alain a Keystone and the Charizard X so they could collect as much Mega Evolution energy throughout his battles. It turns out there are some coincidences with Steven and Lysander's research, so they go to these ruins where they use Steven and Alain's Keystones to react with 2 pillars. The reactions reveal a set of stairs to this mysterious chamber that houses a giant rock. While examining the giant rock, they trigger the sky to turn dark, and from it descends Rayquaza, who suddenly evolves to Mega Rayquaza. Steven and Alain try to battle the strongest Pokemon of the first 6 generations, but they obviously fail. But definitely not as big of a flop as, well, we'll get to that later. Mega Rayquaza just bursts out its power, destroying a significant portion of the ruins. Rayquaza flies back to the skies, and the giant rock suddenly disappears. But at least this gives them the information that a strong Mega Evolution energy is arising in Rustboro City. So, Alain, Marin, and Steven go there, with Lysander giving Alain the advice of never leaving his eye on the Hoenn champion since he'd be a lot of help to the research. Fun fact, this event is actually referenced in the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire games, where Steven even mentions that he fought Rayquaza alongside a trainer with a black Charizard. Soon after, the trio make their way to the Devon Corporation headquarters where they plan on their next action. They are alarmed by the sudden awakening of Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre. Folklore says that these 2 primal legendaries have been clashing for ages, expanding the land and sea because both deities aim to possess the immense power of the giant rock. This leads them to conclude that Primal Kyogre and Primal Groudon are indeed on their way towards the giant rock, which is the very energy they detected near Rustboro City. Steven and Alain, and Marin who sneaks in, decide to head to the place in the middle of the sea. As the giant rock reveals itself, Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre start doing their yearly routine, fighting against each other like their siblings fighting over who gets to blow out the birthday candle. Alain then intervenes with hopes of protecting the giant rock as per Lysander's request. He and Steven manage to deal some damage to and distract the elemental siblings, but Alain gets caught in the crossfire. Marin and Steven rescue Alain just in time for Mega Rayquaza to appear from the clouds, and he's like, stop all this nonsense. The Green Snake single-handedly deals with the sibling monsters and then goes back to celestial slumber. And so, Lysander's team manages to capture the giant rock, which he plans on bringing to Kalos. Alain thanks Marin for saving him, and it is here we really get to see the sibling-like love that they have and care for each other. Alain leaves with Lysander and tells him that he's still far from the strongest given how badly he and Charizard perform against the legendary trio. And so to become stronger, Lysander sets up this battlefield where Alain battles 10 Mega Evolution trainers in a row. This is actually a genius plan. It's like hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only does Alain and Charizard grow stronger, but he can also gather those Mega Evolution energy along the way. But there is a catch. If Alain loses a battle even once, then he returns his Keystone and Mega Stone back to Lysander. Alain, being the passionate trainer that he is, accepts the deal, and Mega Charizard X defeats 9 Mega Evolved Pokemon in a row without much sweat. Marin manages to again sneak her way into Alain's presence with the help of Steven, and he is not happy. Alain declares that he doesn't want to travel with Marin anymore because it's just going to put her in danger, a similar reasoning as to why he's secretive of his missions for Professor Sycamore. Alain also wants to keep the professor safe, and that's why he's been avoiding him ever since he's been working with Lysander. Marin keeps on insisting on traveling together, which causes Alain to snap out and say that as long as he's with her, he wouldn't be able to get any stronger. This hurts the poor girl, and she and Chespy leave the scene. As Marin is soaking over what Alain said, Chespy wanders off into this mysterious lab with trees and an intriguing cell creature which we'll later know as Squishy. But after a risky experiment done by the scientists, immense energy radiates inside the lab, allowing Squishy to break free from its glass enclosure. Knowing that Squishy's in danger, Chespy quickly helps it escape from the laboratory, but the energy is too much for Chespy as it collapses to the floor. Back to Alain. Now he's faced with his 10th and final opponent, Malva of the Kalos Elite 4. After losing to Seabold, the odds do seem stacked against Alain and Charizard, but their fiery determination of becoming the strongest Mega Evolution trainer and Pokemon allows them to beat all odds and defeat Malva and her Mega Houndoom, which means Alain gets to keep his Keystone and Mega Stone. However, after the battle, Alain overhears a conversation between Lysander and the weeping Marin, finding out that Chespy is in a coma. This causes Alain to flare up with anger as he blames himself for pushing Marin away and thus causing this incident. And so Alain's search for Mega Evolution energy is now no longer just a means for him to become stronger. He shifts his goal to use the Mega Evolution energy to heal Chespy and bring the smile back to Marin's face. Continuing on his journey, Alain's Mega Ring reacts to a nearby energy, which he finds out to come from Ash Ketchum's Greninja, who has just activated Bond Phenomenon. Speaking of Ash Ketchum's Greninja, we did cover its complete history, so if you want to check that out after this video, feel free to do so. Alain decides to watch Ash's battle with Sawyer and is getting more intrigued by his rare transformation, which looks eerily similar to Mega Evolution. The next morning, Team Rocket tries to steal Ash's Pikachu while they're sleeping, but Alain and his Charizard come to the rescue and save Pikachu. When Team Rocket blasts off, Alain challenges Ash to a battle. It's Mega Charizard vs Ash Greninja. Both Pokemon give it their all, but Charizard's Thunder Punch and Blast Burn combo is too much for Ash Greninja to handle. Alain and Charizard are clearly the more experienced pair. It isn't until after the battle is over where Ash and Alain ask each other's names, which means they just engaged in a battle with a trainer who they don't even know. And interestingly, this is Ash and Alain's second encounter. 12 episodes ago, Alain passes by the gang as they're having a fun conversation, but neither of the trainers notice each other's presences. Moving on, Alain is instructed by Lysander to capture Z2, aka the Zygarde that isn't Squishy. When Team Flare scientists Aliana and Mabel are having a difficult time securing Z2 at its 50% form, Alain shows up to battle and distract Zygarde, allowing the scientists to capture it for Team Flare. Alain meets up with Ash again when the gang are staying at a Pokemon Center as Clement tries to examine Greninja's bomb phenomenon by battling Ash. When Alain shows up, they decide to let Alain battle Ash so Clement could focus more on his study. Ash and Alain have a 2v2 battle as Alain's Metang destroys Ash's Noivern. Finally, it's again Mega Charizard vs Ash Greninja. At some point, Greninja manages to overpower Charizard, but Ash and Greninja could not maintain their synchronicity, causing Ash to feign an exhaustion. Alain and the company rush Ash to the Pokemon Center. And when he wakes up, Ash tells Alain that he's gonna beat him one day and then win the Kalos League. This piques Alain's interest in the Kalos League. Alain wants to rebattle Ash, whereas Alain wants to face the toughest trainers, so it just makes sense. Alain wants to master Mega Evolution and become the strongest trainer, and so he decides to enter the gym challenge so that he could participate in the Kalos League. Alain then answers a voice call from Marin, and the girl happily informs him that despite being unconscious still, Chespy has started to show signs of movement. Wait a minute, Marin is already smiling here, so I guess Alain's job is done. Anyways, Alain breezes through 8 gyms in Kalos, easily defeating Karina for his final badge. Now that he's eligible to enter the Kalos League, he makes his way to Lumio City with hopes of battling Ash, becoming the strongest, and gathering enough Mega Evolution energy to awaken Chespy. There are 64 trainers who compete for the title of Kalos League champion. Alain is matched up against Trevor as they battle first in round 1. In what could have been an iconic Mega Charizard X versus Mega Charizard Y battle, Alain just uses a bit of trigonometry and they one-shot the more competitively viable Mega Charizard.
Straight ahead, angle 53 degrees. Use flamethrower!
With that being said, Aerodactyl dead, Florges dead. Alain goes on to advance all the way to the top 4 of the Kalos League. Here he battles a familiar face, Remo, and this guy seeks vengeance, but it only takes 2 of Alain's Pokemon to defeat all of his 6, so on to the finals. But before that, Alain and Malva engage in an interesting conversation. It is here where we learn that his main reason to enter the Kalos League was not to become the strongest, but because he just wants to battle Ash. Malva also informs him that he's almost finished with his mission to gather Mega Evolution energy. Then she poses a question after all this is over and Chespi's finally recovered, what's next for Alain? The answer to which he doesn't even know yet. And now the battle that we've all been waiting for is finally here. Ash vs Alain in the finals of the Kalos League. The first half of the battle has them rumble in a water and rock field, while the second half of the battle takes place on a grass field. Alain and Ash alternate at scoring wins, with Alain's Bisharp proving to be a powerhouse, kind of reminiscent of Paul's Drapion, decimating Ash's Hawlucha and Gudra. The battle of course ends in a Mega Charizard X versus Ash Greninja finale as expected. The animation for this battle is nothing short of spectacular as both Pokemon powerfully clash their moves onto each other. However, the battle concludes in an anticlimactic exchange of Water Shuriken and Blast Burn. Charizard holds its ground withstanding Greninja's signature move, but the frog could not take the attack and Alain is declared as the victor. The Antha awards him with a Kalos League trophy and everyone celebrates his victory, that is until roots begin to grow around the stadium, threatening to destroy the entirety of Lumio City. We learn that these roots are caused by Z2. Alain's instinct is to first find Marin and make sure that she's okay. Then he stumbles upon Celosia, who reveals that Lysander ordered them to capture Ash. Alain is confused as to why Team Flare needs Ash, so in shock he watches his friend get bested by Team Flare as the unconscious Ash gets transported to Lysander. Alain then makes his way atop the Prism Tower where Lysander is waiting. He asks Lysander what in the world is happening, and it is here where Alain is enlightened of Lysander's true plans. Redhead over here plans on resetting Kalos and returning it back to it being beautiful by destroying everything from the bottom up, only retaining a certain group of people, which includes Team Flare and Ash. And that explains why Lysander wanted to secure Ash in the first place. I know, it's stupid. All of this is possible thanks to the Mega Evolution energy that Alain naively gathered for him. Alain is infuriated that Lysander fooled him and used him for something so evil. When Ash regains his consciousness, he and Alain with the help of Malva battle Lysander, showing that the current world is worth fighting for. Lysander is eventually defeated, so he chooses to permanently feign himself. Well, no, he just escapes the scene and moves on to further execute his plans. Next, Lysander controls a giant rock to destroy Kalos. Alain's mission is to rescue Chespy, who's locked into place at the center of the giant rock. The strongest trainers of Kalos help create a path for him and Ash enter the giant rock. With Ash instructing his Charizard to deal with the vines, Alain is able to bring back Chespy back to safety. Everyone works together to stop Lysander, and eventually Zygarde at 100% form destroys the machine and permanently feigns Lysander once for all. When the Team Flare shenanigans are over, Alain and friends receive their own medals of honor as thanks for saving Kalos. At this point, Alain still doesn't know what to do next, but Ash suggests that they battle someday because he knows that battling always clears Alain's mind to make wiser decisions. Professor Sycamore asks if Alain would like to return as his research assistant, to which Alain gladly agrees. Alain would then watch Serena's performance with Shauna and Jessie, and we get to know here that he isn't the most comfortable at dancing. In the end, Alain tells Ash that he bestowed his Keystone and Mega Stone to the authorities as important evidence for everything that's happened in Kalos. So he and Marin will partake on a journey to find his own Keystone and Mega Stone. Alain wants to start from scratch and promises that he's going to battle again with Ash one day. 6 years later, Alain returns to the Pokemon anime, but this time he is revealed to have made it to the Masters 8. He's literally one of the strongest 8 trainers in the world. Alain is one step closer to his goal of being the strongest, but will he finally clean up his unfinished business with Steven Stone?
Nope.
Will he battle Diantha to show that he's now the strongest trainer in Kalos?
Nope.
Will he fulfill his promise of battling Ash one more time?
Nope.
They barely even talk during the entirety of the Masters 8. Alain is matched up with Leon in the quarterfinals. I bet this is going to be an incredible battle between 2 of the strongest Charizard trainers in the world.
Nope.
Rillaboom versus Chestnut is honestly pretty good though. Between Rillaboom's Gigantamax and Chestnut's defensive offenses, it's a nice match between 2 physical grass type starters. But as soon as Chestnut faints, the battle just goes downhill. Alain's Charizard one-shots Leon's Rillaboom, and Leon's Charizard one-shots Alain's Malamar, a Pokemon which he could honestly have been written as a tough match for this Monarch's ace, but no. The battle concludes in a Charizard vs Charizard match. It's cool to see that Alain and Charizard have now found their own Keystone and Mega Stone after relinquishing the ones Lysander gave them. Alain mentions that it is his dream to battle Leon's Charizard and surpass it. And in a desperate attempt to turn the table of the Kalos League's version of Charizard Mirror Match, Leon's Charizard one-shots Alain's Mega Charizard X with, yep, you guessed it, Dragon Pulse, the same move Seabold used to defeat him. Literally the only 2 times that Alain's Charizard faints, it's because of a Dragon Pulse by a Kanto starter. And that's it, Alain's Masters 8 journey has come to an end, only defeating 1 Pokemon, albeit it is Leon's second best. Alain stays for the entirety of the quarterfinals, probably because he wants to watch the battle between Ash vs Steven, the 2 trainers he highly respects and who shaped his character in the XY saga. Alain leaves alongside Steven and Iris when the quarterfinals is over, and this is the only time we see him speak to Ash, and with a dialogue so generic that it made him sound like an NPC.
With Pikachu and your other Pokemon, you can win. I believe in you, Ash.
I'm certain you can do it.
Alain's final appearance in the Pokemon anime is during Ash vs Leon, where he's finally home with Marin and Professor Sycamore watching his good friend and rival snatch the World Monarch title on TV. Alain will forever go down as one of the greatest characters in the Pokemon anime. He is Ash Ketchum's strongest rival besides Leon and a master of Mega Evolution. Alain deserves to be called the co-protagonist of XYZ, as he was a centerpiece which gave the 3rd season of the Generation 6 anime one of the best storylines ever, and concluded in arguably the best arc of the Pokemon anime, the Team Flare finale. You guys voted for Alain last time, so make sure to vote in the poll so you can decide which character we're going to cover next. Thank you so much for watching, but as always, it's been your boy Luap, and I'm out. Peace.